to the end. I think it's going to be just probably one more of these parts before we get into the day after his last day. But we're not going to look at all of these verses, but the things that are happening are within all of these verses. So we'll just mention Matthew 27:35 through 50, Mark 15:24 through 37, Luke 23:33 through 46, and John 19:18 through 30. And again, we're not going to read all of that, but there's parts in all of that that we are going to look at. In fact, within all of these verses, Yeshua doesn't speak too much, but we kind of just want to get the context of what's going on, so that when we get to his few words, we can talk about that. So what I do want to do is go to Matthew 27, and we'll read. Let's read Matthew 27, start at verse 35, and read down through 44.
Starting where at?
Matthew 27, starting at the 35th verse.
And having impaled him, they divided his garments, casting lots, that it might be filled what was spoken by the prophet. They divided my garments among them, and for my clothing they cast lots. And sitting down, they guarded him there. And they put up over his head the written charge against him: "This is Yeshua, the sovereign of the Yehudim." Then two robbers were impaled with him, one on the right and the other on the left. And those passing by were blaspheming him, saying, or shaking their heads, and saying, "You who destroyed the dwelling place and build it in 3 days, save yourself. If you are the son of Elohim, come down from the stake." And likewise the chief priests with the scribes and elders mocking said, "He saved others, he is unable to save himself. If he is sovereign of Israel, let him now come down from the stake, and we shall believe him. He trusted in Elohim, let him rescue him now if he desires it." And for he said, "I am the son of Elohim." And also the robbers who were impaled with him reviled him, saying the same.
Okay, very good. I wanted to just bring up a point here. If we remember when it talked about Barabbas, it said that it called him a robber. But then when we went other places, we was able to learn that he also was a murderer. And then when we look other places, we was also able to find out that he was kind of this political surrectionist person. And so when you think, and also the fact that he was due to be killed, and Yeshua then takes his place. And so when we think about Yeshua, and so another thing was, they didn't really have a thing where they were, they would try multiple people at once. It wasn't like they had a trial here, and then they tried this guy, and then they tried this other guy, and all these other things. Most likely, the people that were being killed were together, and were really being kind of charged and tried and punished for the same or similar offenses. And so it's probably the case that these robbers, as it said, were kind of, probably in the same boat as Barabbas. Because he wasn't like a single actor. He kind of was just like the main guy. He was kind of the Huey P. Newton of the thing. But it's interesting when we look back again. We see that Yeshua at this time being impaled, as the scriptures version says, and with this sign, King of the Jews on it. I want to go down to talk about what he says at this time. If we go down to 45, let's look at 45 and read down to 50.
It says, in the 6th hour there was darkness all over the land until the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour, Yeshua cried out with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, that is, my El, why have you forsaken me? Some of those standing there, having heard, said, this one calls Eliyahu. And immediately one of them ran and took a sponge and filled it with sour wine and put it on a reed and gave it to him to drink. But the rest said, leave it. Let us see if Eliyahu comes to save him. And Yeshua cried out again with a loud voice and gave up his spirit.
Let's see. Let's stay right here for a minute here, and then go up to verse 46, where we see this thing that Yeshua cries out here, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, which is an interesting thing here. Why hast thou forsaken me? Why hast thou forsaken me? And so it's interesting to kind of think about what is happening here. Why would Yeshua at this time be making this this pronouncement of to the Most High? Why hast thou forsaken me? It's so interesting. Oh, you think you say? What did you say?
I have my thought on why.
What is it?
Well, because it's at this moment that, first of all, him being with the Father from forever, there's a separation that's needed because of, first of all, the curse of the cross, the curse of the stake, and taking upon himself at this time. We talk about in Isaiah 51, he bore all of the wickedness, the transgressions, the sicknesses of the people. And so this is that time of bearing all of those things, and there has to be necessarily a separation from the holy and the profane. And so there has to be a turning away from him at that moment because of the bearing of all of the sins, sicknesses, diseases of the people. And so that's why I believe that's why this is here.
I think that this is such an interesting time because while yes, that part of it is, I would say, is the case. I think that this situation is twofold. I think that there, yes, is the case of all these things that you mentioned, but it's so interesting if we actually go over to Psalms 22 and look at that. It's so interesting that if we was to look at Psalms 22, we find out that the things that are literally just now happening are mentioned in Psalm 22. So let's go over and look at Psalms 22. Just start reading at first verse there.
It says, my El, why have you forsaken me, far from saving me? far from the words of my groaning.
Read down to verse 8.
O my Elohim, I call by day, but you do not answer, and by night, but I find no rest. Yet you are set apart, enthroned on the praises of Israel. Our fathers trusted in you. They trusted you. They trusted, and you delivered them. They cried to you and were delivered. They trusted in you and were not ashamed. But I am a worm and no man, a reproach of men and despised by the people. All those who see me mock me. They shoot out the lip. They shake the head, saying, he trusted in Yahweh. Let him rescue him. Let him deliver him, seeing he has delighted in him.
Okay, very good. So Yeshua, who's being mocked by the onlookers, they're saying these things to him, like right now. They're mocking him as he's on this torture stake, saying to him, and even the people that's up there dying with them, if you're the king, if you are who you say you are, get down off of this thing right now and save yourself. But that's what this psalm is saying. And so at this time, it's so interesting that when Yeshua says that little opening part of this psalm, he's saying it kind of at the same time as the things that are within that psalm are happening. Drop down to verse 16 through 18.
It says, for the
In
dogs,
Psalms, yeah. Sorry.
for the dogs have surrounded me. A crowd of evil ones have encircled me, piercing my hands and my feet. I count all my bones. They look, they stare at me. They divide my garments among them, and for my raiment they cast lots.
Okay, very good. So again, we look at what's happening, and these things are happening or have happened. In Mark, hold on, did it say it in Matthew? Oh yeah, it did say it in Matthew. That's how it began, right? As they were impaling him, they divided up his garments and casting lots, trying to see who could get his clothes. And so again, when we look at what's happening, and then we hear what Yeshua is saying, he recalls a psalm that in that psalm, the things that's happening is said. Which is so crazy.
Yeah.
And so, but beyond that, then now you also have this other portion. Well, let's go to Mark. Let's go to Mark to add this to the situation. Well, let's hold off on that. Let's go over to 2 Corinthians 5 and 21. 2 Corinthians 5 and 21.
It says, for he made him who knew no sin to be sin for us, so that in him we might become the righteousness of Elohim.
So Yeshua, it says, Paul said that he was made to be sin for us. Now he wasn't a sinner, he was perfect, right? But he took on himself the penalty of sin. If we go to Hebrews 12. I think it's 12 and 2. Yeah.
Yeah, Hebrews 12:2. Looking to the Prince and Perfecter of our belief, Yeshua, who for the joy that was set before him endured the stake, having despised the shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of Elohim.
The shame of the stake.
That's what I was talking
The
about.
shame of the stake he took on.
Yeah.
All of the things that was incorporated in the torture stake was a shame that he took on for himself. It says in go over to Galatians 3:13. The stake was a shame. It was a shame, and he took it on. Wow. What does it say in Galatians 3:13?
It says, Messiah redeemed us from the curse of the Torah, having become a curse for us. For it has been written, cursed is everyone who hangs upon a tree.
It said that the writer said that Yeshua became a curse for us.
Yes. That's right.
He became sin for us. He was perfect. He didn't sin, but he bore our sin. It's so interesting when we look at, and this verse here talks about Messiah redeemed us. So, and we know that it's Passover, and so he's the Passover lamb, and there's redemption found in the thing that the Passover lamb does, right? So there's redemption there. But we also know that simultaneously, as he's the Passover lamb, he's also he's also the atonement. And so when we think about the priest, the high priest on the Day of Atonement, it's so interesting. It's not a direct parallel, but you're able to see things that Yeshua did for us through the high priest. First of all, the high priest takes off his glory to even perform the things on atonement. He don't do that in his magnificent high priest robes.
Yes.
He does it just in the plain old robes that the regular priests use, which is just a white. No fancy gold or shoulder pieces or breastplates or none of that. He takes off all of his glory, first of all, to even begin the thing for atonement. Just like Yeshua. Like Yeshua in John chapter 17, when he's praying to the Father, when he said, return me to the glory that I had from before. Helping us understand that the very fact that there was a Yeshua walking around, he had to have diminished himself in order to come into this likeness of sinful flesh. But when we look at the thing with the priest, it's kind of like it's the same thing. And then also with the atonement thing, we have this thing where the sins of the people are put onto the goat. Right? And so the goat bears the sin of the people. And then it's sent off into this place where nobody could go there. Kind of how Yeshua is about to go to this place where nobody can go. At least, well, they could go, but they can't come back. Death. Right? And so it's so interesting when we look at Yeshua in his act that he's performing and this shame that he takes on, this curse that he takes on, where it's like he's going through this situation where he mentions this verse that points to what's going on, but at the same time, there's this act that he's doing that would call for there to be a separation between the Most High and him that never existed ever before. That he knew was going to happen. And so that's why I'm saying, there's this kind of dual situation where it's not as if he didn't know, like he's asking, why is this happening? I think that even in this moment, he's saying this, and because in his body, he's actually realizing this thing that he knew was going to happen. And I guess in his flesh, he didn't never know what this would feel like, because it never happened before. In his whole life, he didn't never understand this idea of a separation. Even in Hebrews, where it talks about the fact that he, what's the verse where it talks about he learned obedience through sacrifice. What verse is that in Hebrews? Because if you're so in tune with the Most High that you're just doing, obedience isn't necessarily a part, because it's just you're one.
Yeah. Hebrews 5.
Right? So what is it?
Hebrews 5 verse 8.
Oh yeah, can you read 7 and 8? Hold on, what's this? Just 7 and 8. Hebrews 5, 7 and 8.
Right. Who in the days of his flesh, when he had offered up prayers and petitions with strong crying and tears to him who was able to save him from death, and was heard because of his reverent fear, through being a son, he learned obedience by what he suffered.
Yeshua learned obedience through this experience of his suffering. Before, he just did what the Most High said. It was just like they were one. He only said what the Most High said, and he's not calling that obedience, really. Because they're just one. They're on one accord. Mm-hmm. But now there's this thing that he learns, this obedience through what he suffered, through this, the totality of this experience of him doing this thing in the flesh that brings about our redemption and our atonement. And so when he gets to this place, in the situation where he says these things, my El, why hast thou forsaken me? It's the fulfillment of all of these things that are happening, that include kind of the separation that must be because of sin. And the fact that Yeshua takes on and becomes sin, as the writer said, he became sin.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's go over to.
There's comments.
Oh, what is this?
They're right here.
Huh? Oh.
I just wanted to say something when Elder John was reading verse 7. It made me think in a reflection of Adam. In the day of his flesh, he offered his. When after they sinned, they cried. In a sense, repented. It almost seems like Yeshua is repenting for Adam and Eve's disobedience to the Most High, which was the start of sin itself.
Yeah, well, he's definitely correcting what happened as a result of what they did. The difference is that the difference is that Yeshua, he has that obedience portion, right? Adam had the instruction, but he chose not to follow that instruction, and he chose to follow after his woman instead. Oh, and so there was that disconnect. There was that disconnect that happened, right? And so Yeshua, instead, we see that he has this sacrifice, and he takes on the consequence, the penalty of death. Of sin, which is death, and both physical and spiritual. There was a separation that happened for us, right? This thing that needed to happen all the way back to, of course, Adam, but it needed to happen, and this is it happening right here.
And I think also we could talk about how, and you've done this teaching before. First of all, how Yeshua dies. His death basically ends that covenant that Israel broke with the Most High, so that they can be reunited with Him, again.
There's so many layers.
So there's this disconnection.
There's so many layers.
It's like there's a disconnection even with the people, in a way. There's a disconnection from the Most High, but then there's also this disconnection from the people, so that there can be a reuniting within His resurrection.
Yeah, it's so interesting, the depths of what it is that Yeshua has done for us. It's like you would just keep on talking about this thing in so many ways, and all of the things that he needed to do that was done all at the same time. And so, it's so interesting when you look at this, what's happening, but you're able to see, it's so interesting. It took so much strength, I think, in Yeshua moments before he's about to die, to still be teaching. Like when he says this, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, it's a double entendre. It got two meanings, this thing that he's saying, and it's like he's about to die though. And he's still teaching, and it's like his last breaths that he's saying is a lesson.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't even his own words. He didn't even say his own words.
He went back into his Torah, his Tanakh Rolodex, and brought out the perfect precept.
Right.
When he's about to die. Yeah. Like he's literally about to die, and he's in physical agony and pain. And what he went to was something that meant something on multiple levels. But like in the midst of his pain, he's still able to just bring that out. It's just so it's amazing. But something else happens as well. Let's go over to let's see here. Let's go to Luke. Let's go to Luke 23. and 39. And let's read 39 through 43.
It says, and one of the evildoers who were hanged was speaking evil of him, saying, if you are the Messiah, save yourself and us. But the other, responding, rebuked him, saying, do you not even fear Elohim, since you are under the same judgment? And we indeed rightly so, for we receive the due reward of our deeds, but this one has done no wrong. And he said to Yeshua, Master, remember me when you come into your reign. And Yeshua said to him, truly I say to you today, you shall be with me in paradise.
Okay, very good. So interesting things. We see Luke, he don't call them robbers, he calls them evildoers. And also we see in verse 40, do you not even fear Elohim, since you are under the same judgment? They're all getting the same judgment. And again, Yeshua replaced the other guy who was an evildoer, but he was a rebel rouser. He was a political instigator. And so again, it kind of puts them in a certain light. And also the fact that, they wasn't crucifying everybody. Right? This was a thing that if you started acting up, rebelling against the status quo, a example had to be made out of you, and that's kind of what this was. It was a message to them that you're not going to sit up here and come up against Rome in that way, and it was also a message for the people that you're not going to do it either, and this is what's going to happen to you if you do, kind of a thing. But anyway, and so we have between the two of them, the one guy who's a non-believer, he's mocking Yeshua as he is dying. And then the other guy he says, Master, remember me when you come into your reign, into your kingdom. Remember me. And then Yeshua said, truly I say to you today. Now this is the interesting part that I want to talk about. Because, I think we can either take the comma or lose the comma. Because I think it's saying two different things. Depending on if we're going to understand it the way that it's written or not. Truly I say to you today, like this is what I'm saying to you, and I'm saying it to you right now. You shall be with me in paradise. Or today you'll be with me in paradise. One of the two of those things is true. What's he talking about?
I think he's saying, I'm telling you right now that you're going to be with me in paradise.
That's what you said.
Yeah, because I don't think that Yeshua went to paradise. He went to Sheol. So what would be the difference between if he went to Sheol and the guy went to Sheol with him? Basically, he's going to hell.
Now, okay. All right, so when we
That's
look
the
at...
earth.
Yes, I mean, when you look at, say, for instance, the parable about the Lazarus and the poor person that's there, you have this place where people are, and somehow there's a kind of a span in between the two places, and there's the people who are suffering that are over across the spans, and the people who aren't.
Yeah.
So you could think about this in terms of thinking about it in that way,
Yeah.
but as you said, I think you rightly bring up the fact that Yeshua, who's going to the grave to die and come back. I think it just kind of because in the Greek we don't have the quotation marks. The comma is the English translation, and depending on how you kind of structure the sentence, it could be saying to two or more things. What was you gonna say?
Well, actually, I was thinking that once he died on the cross, he did go to Sheol, and the word says he went down there, and him and the enemy had a fight, and showed him up openly, and all that he had that were captive, he set them free. And I think some of them went into what they call the Abraham's bosom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't know. I was just thinking about what you were saying too about how strong he was to do that. Because maybe with the Father, they were one, and then to be separated like that, even though he knew he had to do it, or it was his destination to do it, the rest of it was what was the important part. That the captives would be set free.
Mm-hmm.
That hell didn't have any more dominion over man. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Hold on. What's that verse where it says that he made a show of him openly? What verse is that? I like that verse. Because to me, it always I always think about
Colossians.
somebody like just had it. What is it?
Colossians. Quick.
In my mind, I always think about like a celebration, like after a touchdown, like somebody's doing like a dance. Can you read that? What is that verse?
Colossians 2:15.
14 and 15.
Okay. 14. Colossians 2:14. Having blotted out that which was written by hand against us by the dogmas which stood against us, and he has taken it out of the way, having nailed it to the stake, having stripped the principalities and the authorities, he made a public display of them, having prevailed over them in it.
Wait, can you read 15, but the King James version?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta have the King James version.
Yep. Had King James, and having spoiled principalities and powers, he made a show of them openly, triumphing over them in it.
See, like in my mind, when I visualize this verse, I think of somebody doing like a celebration dance over top of, like maybe if you just sacked the quarterback and then you just dance like over top of him
Yeah.
while he's
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Like the quarterback's down, you get up and you do this funny little dance over top of him,
Yeah.
taunting him almost. Because it says triumphing over him, and you made a show of them, the powers, openly. That's just what happens in my mind. I don't know. So in somebody else's mind, that could be something else. But you had a power,
Superman.
and I just made your power look like nothing. And there's like a celebration thing that's
Yeah.
that's happening as I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And so when you think about the fact that death wasn't able to hold him,
Yeah.
Right.
It's like you died. The enemy was like, "We got him. He's out of here." Then he come back and he's like,
Well, what if
"I You can't beat me like that.
I thought you had me.
Yeah.
I thought you was the thing.
Right.
But
That's-
didn't the enemy already know that they was going to be defeated?
I guess they should have known.
Should've known.
If they didn't know, they should have asked somebody.
Well, they found out either way.
Amen.
So it's interesting. It's interesting when you look back. If we go back to Luke, when you look at Yeshua speaking to this person over here, this evildoer, who says to Yeshua, "Master," like he believes in Yeshua, and so Yeshua says, "You'll be with me in paradise." And so I was thinking about like how, this paradise thing is interesting. Let's go to 2 Corinthians 12, and let's look at 2 through 4.
All right, 2 Corinthians 12 and 2. I know a man in Messiah who 14 years ago, whether in the body I do not know, or whether out of the body I do not know, Elohim knows. Such a one was caught up to the third heaven. And I know such a man, whether in the body or out of the body, I do not know, Elohim knows, that he was caught up into paradise and heard unspeakable words, which it is not right for a man to speak.
Okay, very good. So Paul hears about this situation that happens with this guy, and he don't know if the guy went there or if he was like went there in a vision. He don't know where the place is. He don't know, but Elohim knows. But it says that he was caught up into paradise, which is the same word that's used over in Luke, which actually is the same word as Pardes, which is the same thing that's the acronym for the Hebrew interpretation of Prashat and Resh and Drash and Soph, which means orchard.
Orchard.
Yes, orchard, like a place of many trees, like a garden. But it made me think about the fact that when Paul here talks about this this place that this person got caught up to, that he don't know if he physically got caught up to it or if he did it, if he was caught up to it in the spirit, and also made me think about the fact that where it says over in, I guess that's still 2 Corinthians in chapter 5.
You said
5.
2 Corinthians?
Yeah, 2 Corinthians chapter 5. Start reading at verse 4.
It says, "For indeed, we who are in this tent groan, being burdened, not because we wish to put it off, but to put on the other, so that what is to die might be swallowed up by life. Now, he who has prepared us for this same purpose is Elohim, who has given us the Spirit as a pledge of what is to come. Therefore, being always of good courage, and knowing that while we are at home in the body, we are absent from the master. For we walk by belief, not by sight. We are of good courage and are well pleased rather to be absent from the body and to be present with the master."
Okay, so I think that when we look back at the way that they thought about dying, back in the old times, they talked about going to sleep with the fathers. Right? So it's almost as if you go to sleep. And maybe you're just all the way asleep and you're not having any dreams. You don't have any concept of time when you're asleep. You know, you go to sleep and then you wake up.
I'd be like so mad sometimes.
You
The
know.
feast, it would be like a couple hours went by, and I'm like, thinking,
You know what? It is like that. I don't know why I would wake up. It would be like 4 in the morning, and I'll wake up and I would think it was later. Actually, it wouldn't be 4. I would probably wake up at like 2 in the morning, and I was only asleep for a couple hours. But I felt like I was asleep for all night, and I wake up and like, oh man, it's only just 2 o'clock. I got more hours to go, and it's cold, and it's 10. But you don't have any concept of time when you're asleep, and so. Thinking about that in terms of the evildoer, you know, he's gonna go to sleep and he's gonna wake up and he's gonna be with the master. I don't think he's gonna die and then go to heaven, because I don't think it works that way. I think that he's gonna go to sleep, and then when we look at John chapter 5, 28 and 29. John chapter 5, 28 and 29.
I have a question while you're getting that. When Paul was talking, do you think he was talking about Stephen? I'm just a question.
Are you talking about the person?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know who he's talking about. Maybe.
Steve.
Well,
What do you mean?
somebody told him the story though, right? Somebody told him this. He knew this guy 14 years ago, and then there was this thing that happened. So I think with Stephen though, he wasn't able to talk about what happened because he got killed, right?
Well, he didn't get killed yet. Though.
What you mean? At this place?
Yeah.
I mean, he got killed. Did he get killed? He got killed in the Book of Acts.
Yeah.
Right.
So it didn't happen yet.
What you mean yet? Why are you saying yet?
At the time of the crucifixion.
No. We went to 2 Corinthians, and then
Oh,
Paul
I see.
had this thing that happened
I
14
see.
years
Okay,
ago. Yeah.
I understand. Okay.
Mhm.
I was a little bit lost. I was lost all the way. Okay.
All right, John.
Sorry.
I don't know the answer. I don't.
John 5:28. Do not marvel at this, because the hour is coming in which all those in the tombs shall hear his voice, and shall come forth, those who have done good to the resurrection of life, and those who have practiced evil matters to the resurrection of judgment.
Okay, so it seems like at the time of judgment, you're going to be in the grave, you're going to be asleep, you're going to be called out of the grave, and you're going to be put on one side or the other. And so, and at that time, those that believe are going to be with Yeshua. And so I think that if we use the comma, I think we should use the comma, because he's telling something today. Yeshua is telling the guy something today. And I think that he's telling them is that at some point we're going to be together in paradise. And if we put that with what Paul said, I feel like it's going to be it'll feel like today, because you're going to sleep and you don't have any sense of what time is. You're going to sleep,
Right.
you're going to die, but when you wake up, you're not going to know if it was 5 minutes or 2,000 years.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean? So if you're absent from the body,
Yep.
you're dead. The next thing you know, if you're a believer, you're present.
That made me
You're
think
present
about
with the Lord.
the movies when they freeze people, and then they wake them up later.
Yeah.
Supposedly they doing that with some people today, but like they wake up like, what year is it? Like everything's different, you know. But
Yeah.
they've been asleep for years
Yeah,
and
because
years.
You don't have
you
any
know?
concept of time.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what that is. I mean, somebody else might think something different, but I think when he says that to the evildoer, that's kind of, that's how I think about it. Somebody else might think about it different. Okay, and then so also, okay, so let's go down to Luke 23. Luke 23, 44 through 46.
You said 23.
Luke 23, verse 44 through 46.
It says, and it was now about the 6th hour, and darkness came over all the land until the 9th hour. And the sun was darkened, and the veil of the dwelling place was torn in two. And crying out with a loud voice, Yeshua said, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. And having said this, he breathed his last breath.
All right, so he dies. Right? He's dead. Right there. Right, but it's interesting to think about this 6th hour. And so it was about the 6th hour, and there was darkness until the 9th hour. From the 6th hour to the 9th hour, it was dark. The sun became dark. It says the sun became dark. And so during that time, the 6th hour is about 11 a.m. Between 11 and noonday. So it's the middle of the day. The sun is basically at its highest point. In the 9th hour, the end of the 9th hour is like 3 o'clock. Okay? So that's how the divisions of the Roman times won. The first hour is basically when the sun comes up. Right? And so the 6th hour isn't like 6 o'clock. It's like between 11 and 12 o'clock. And so in the middle of the day, at the time of the sun being at its highest point, and the sun traveling downwards in the sky, where it's supposed to be light out, is dark out. Which is interesting because that's the time that the Passover lamb is literally slaughtered at that exact time right there. But again, during this time, the sun becomes dark.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry.
What happened?
Well, I mean, now we're talking about the celestial bodies again.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
But this would be, people who do the full moon as the new moon. The only way that if it was an eclipse, it would have had to have been a dark moon going across.
Oh, people say this wasn't an eclipse. Does eclipse last for 3 hours?
No. And it was too early for an eclipse.
Yeah, well.
Wasn't it too early for an eclipse?
Well,
a solar eclipse could happen, I think, at any time of the day.
Well, I remember this last one that happened. We had this mostly an eclipse that happened. Remember we had our glasses?
Yeah,
That happened. I was at work. I was at work when that happened, so the sun was up in the sky. I feel like it was after lunch. I feel like it was late in the day, but I can't remember what time it was.
It was like 1 o'clock. It was like
Yeah, it was
Oh, you remember?
midday.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I mean, I guess.
Yes. But the moon has to be in conjunction at that time because
Yeah.
it's like it's invisible and then it becomes visible as it crosses the
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
sun, path of the sun,
Yeah.
and then it goes over.
I don't like
But
that.
no,
I don't
but
like.
it would
I don't
have
like
been
that.
for a space of
Not 3 hours. No.
No.
and then that also takes away the total miraculousness. Of
Yeah,
it all.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
Yeah.
It
No,
was a miracle.
I just was saying.
I know people say it. I don't like
Yeah,
it.
people will say something.
People say that.
You
Yeah.
have to doubt it some way. So,
Yeah. The clips don't last them 3 hours because we was literally out there doing a task. and it was like we would every once in a while the clouds would go away. We would look up at glasses, and I was like giving them back and forth. But before you knew it, the whole thing was done.
Right.
It didn't last 3 hours.
Yeah.
And if it was, it can. If it,
Well,
if
we
it-
didn't have a full one though. We had like it was mostly like it was covered, and it was
well,
still
where
like
you
a
was
thing.
at,
Yeah, it depends where you run.
You'd have to go up.
Some
north.
people did have a full one, but I don't know how dark it got for them either.
Yeah, I'd seen the full one and it was still light outside.
For them, it said that the sun was darkened and the veil. Oh wait, did we read that? Oh yeah, we read, and the veil of the temple was rent in the midst. Okay, so I think that the definitely the eclipse move I think is just it doesn't make any sense. But so from this section we see that he dies at a specific time, and that specific time just so happens to be, I'm saying just so happens with tongue in cheek. It just so happens to be that is the time that the Passover lamb is slaughtered at the temple. And then you have the situation with the veil of the temple splitting in two, which I think we understand that to have to do with the fact that the thing that Yeshua is doing, this redemptive act that he is making for us, causes us to be able to be reconciled back to the Father, and that separation that exists between the holy and us, the created, is able to be bridged by the thing that Yeshua has done. And so that the protective covering of the presence of the Most High is ripped, and we're able to now, well, not now, but when everything's all said and done, the beginning of this thing that's happening, when man is able to be in perfect communion with the Father. And so we see that happening just right here in Luke when he dies. And
Is this,
go
are
ahead.
these verses where we're talking about the people coming out of their graves and stuff like that?
I don't see that.
Okay.
It's probably in the next part.
Okay.
But just one more thing I wanted to look at. We go over to John and just mention this here in John 19. If we could just read 28 through 30.
Okay. And after this, Yeshua, knowing that all had been accomplished, in order that the scripture might be accomplished, said, I thirst. A bowl of sour wine stood there, and they filled a sponge with sour wine, put it on hyssop, and held it to his mouth. So when Yeshua took the sour wine, he said, it has been accomplished. And bowing his head, he gave up his spirit.
Okay, very good. I just wanted to mention that, when this is like mainstream Christianity, when they see this, it is finished thing, it kind of makes it be this thing that where, everything is just said and done. And so like the law is finished, all of those old things, they're all finished. They're done away. But to me, when I look at this, I feel like this is basically, I think he's just talking about him. He's dead. Like he's about to die. Like that's the last thing that he's saying. And like this pain and this anguish and this shame and this task that he was sent to do, that this redemption that he is enacting, the atonement that he is initiating. You know, these things are finished. Well, I guess when you think about it, atonement really isn't finished yet, because in the context of the atonement, this part would be the high priest going into the temple
Holy place, yeah.
only, without him coming back. And so the atonement part, I think, is, you know, it's not finished. But the thing that is finished is that death and that redemption. And so there's many things that were completed right here. And I'm saying one of those things is his physical life. Another one of those things, as I said, is the redemptive work is finished. But I think it's taken just a little bit too far, because there's at this particular point there's so many more things that need to be done. I mean, namely the resurrection, right? Which kind of is the foundation upon all of this stuff. Like if he dies and don't resurrect, like that's kind of a big deal. And so when he says it is finished, you know, everything's obviously not finished, right? Because he himself has more to do. He has the dancing part
Yeah.
still didn't happen yet, right?
Yeah.
That didn't even happen yet. It's just like at this point,
It's
there might not be a reason to dance yet.
It's scary.
Yes, and so I think that these words that he's saying here sometimes are kind of emphasized, because there's yet more things that need to be done. But in terms of his physical life, this pain, anguish, and shame that he is experiencing, his redemptive act is, you know, those things are in fact finished.
You know, the scripture that says, unless the seed falls to the ground and die, then there's nothing that can grow from it. So this, I agree with you, because this is the part where all the action starts now. You know, he was just walking and showing us how to, you know, live Torah and love. So at his death, that part is over, because now he's going to show us everything he has to show. So now the good stuff happens after that.
Yeah, and like I said, when you know, when we see what it is that he's teaching to his disciples, like none of that stuff happens at this point. He spoke to his disciples at length about the Comforter and the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, coming to be with them and comfort them after he was gone. And at this time right here, those things, you know, they haven't happened yet. So again, when we think about these words here that he said here, it is finished, I think it is kind of limited to the work, his physical work that he did, and you know, the place where he physically is at this time is the thing that's finished. Like he's dead. It said he gives up the spirit. King James said he give up the ghost right there, right?
I mean, Yeshua was obviously, reading comprehension lets you know that, you know, he's accomplishing the scriptures. Like he got a checklist he's going off of, right? And once he finishes that part of the checklist, okay, yeah, that part is finished. But yeah, there's still more to do. It's just like when he got up in the temple and read Isaiah 61. He started reading up to the part where he accomplished, and he stopped. But that part is going to be fulfilled too. But you know, he read up to the part where he was at, and said, you know, and then closed the book. But there was still more that has to be done.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. All right. So, does anybody have any last questions, comments, or anything to say about any of these things here? Okay. All right. There's probably one more. There's probably one more addition to the last day of.
Oh, you mean the last day of Yeshua?
Yes, to the last day.
But he gave up his ghost. He didn't say.
I know, but the day is still the middle of the day. There's still more things to happen. But it's mostly over. All right.
Alright.
Okay. All right. So for now, I think we'll be done with this right here, the words of the master. Y'all willing, we'll be back on next Shabbat to continue with the weekly Torah portion and also the last day of Yeshua. But until then, we'll say Shabbat Shalom.